Ironkong stands 17 meters plus. Black armor, thick and fierce, red neon eyes. He'll take the battlefield amid hell-led cries. No to oppose, with Goju laughs he'll fight. Ironkong embodies Anaba's might. Gorilla against Tyrannosaurus. Ironkong versus Goju laughs discuss. Ironkong, Ironkong, crush your foes now. Pride of the Empire, army, pow pow. Fire your missiles and rockets quick. Victory force and never, that's the trick. But even Ironkong can be made better. Ironkong and Marie better. A superior breed built to the letter. Meteors and Napas feel the new gorilla Zoid. The Ironkongyeti is now employed. With his booster pack, the Yeti is fast, able to avoid the cannon's fire blast. Advanced Ironkongyeti matches his foes. Even Goku last Mark 2 feels the woes. Ironkong, Ironkong, crush your foes now. Pride of the Empire, army, pow pow. Fire your missiles and rockets quick. Victory force and never, that's the trick. With his booster pack, the Yeti is fast, able to avoid the cannon's fire blast. Advanced Ironkongyeti matches his foes. Even Goju last Mark 2 feels the woes. Ironkong, Ironkong, crush your foes now. Pride of the Empire, army, pow pow. Fire your missiles and rockets quick. Victory force and never, that's the trick. Ironkong, Ironkong, crush your foes now. Pride of the Empire, army, pow pow. Fire your missiles and rockets quick. Victory force and never, that's the trick. With his booster pack, the Yeti is fast, able to avoid the cannon's fire blast. Advanced Ironkongyeti matches his foes. Even Goju last Mark 2 feels the woes. With his booster pack, the Yeti is fast, able to avoid the cannon's fire blast. Advanced Ironkongyeti matches his foes. Even Goju last Mark 2 feels the woes. With his booster pack, the Yeti is fast, able to avoid the cannon's fire blast. Advanced Ironkongyeti matches his foes. Even Goju last Mark 2 feels the woes. With glowing green eyes, Ironkongyeti rolls. Pearl white armor makes his foes into fools. Even in the Arctic, the Empire will play. Ironkongyeti, gorilla Zoids seizes the day. Ironkong, crush your foes now.